I'm really here to talk about our wellness program because of having attended Pathway Symposium, and there was a great speaker there who was talking about wellness programs, and she just had some really great ideas, and her approach was incredibly practical. And that's really important to me. Those who know me know that I'm a very practical person, and that just really lit my interest. So I started thinking about Back in Motion and the fact that we didn't really have a wellness program. And I decided that, well, we really ought to. That would be a really great thing. So I went back to some key people in my organization and I said, we need a wellness program. And so they, of course, because of who they are, said, yes, of course we do, and we can help you with that. So I have two people to thank, Ken Hempel, who's not here today, but he is our VP of Human Resources at Back in Motion, and my colleague Mike Rathbone, who's sitting down there, who was also a big part of making sure we got our wellness program off the ground. So thank you. So just a little bit about Back in Motion, just to let you know, I do have a watch here that I've borrowed because I want to make sure that I stay on time, so I will commit to doing that. So Back in Motion has two sort of branches to our business. We offer healthcare services. So we provide a lot of interdisciplinary treatment programs for injured workers. So we have contracts with WorkSafe BC, for example, as well as long-term disability insurance companies. We also have some acute physiotherapy clinics. And then the other half of our business is what we call employment services. So we help job seekers in the province find work. And we, in particular, we support people with a range of barriers to securing employment. So you may have heard about the new Work BC centers across the province. Back in Motion has a contract for 5 of those centers in the Metro Vancouver area. So that's kind of what our business is. We've been in operation for 20 years. This is actually our 20-year anniversary, which is pretty exciting. And as Roy mentioned, we were ranked number 1 and 2 Great Places to Work in 2007 and 2006. We've also been given the BC Psychologically Healthy Workplace Award in 2009. I believe we are a company with strong core values, and we have amazing staff at Back in Motion, just incredible people. We now have 12 locations across Metro Vancouver. And specifically about wellness now, before we implemented a wellness program, we did have a lot of sort of independent and grassroots, I sort of think them, activities in our company. Just people who were doing all kinds of things that supported wellness without actually having, a program. The other thing that's important to know about our company is we actually doubled in size in 2012. So when we secured these Work BC contracts in the province, that led to double the size of our staff. So we went from about 100 staff to about 200, pretty much in one fell swoop. It's been a really exciting year. So our goal with our Wellness at Work initiative was to recognize and build upon existing informal workplace wellness activities and build a robust, sustainable program for the future. So those are really two key things for me. Was that I really love the sort of way our staff feel so empowered in our organization to do things. So we had all of these initiatives going on, and I kind of had a fear that, if you impose too much structure on these activities, was I actually going to end up squashing them? And we really didn't want that to happen. But the second thing that I was concerned about was this doubling in the size of our company. And so I was also worried that all these grassroots initiatives wouldn't be sustainable if we didn't put any structure around them because, when you double, a lot of things happen, and without some good structure, I was worried that these initiatives would not continue. So this was the goal around what we were trying to accomplish. And we wanted this for all of the obvious reasons. We wanted an integrated, comprehensive approach to wellness with deliverables and measurements. And we believe, because I think we know from the research that's out there to date, that taking care of the well-being of your staff improves productivity. You have a healthier, happier workforce. That's important for me personally because I like to work in a happy, healthy place. And so if that's not what Back in Motion is, I'm not really going to have much fun either. It leads to illness and injury prevention, very important. Our wellness program has a wellness program can have a positive contribution to our community. Back in Motion, we are a part of the communities that we serve, and our desire is to contribute to those communities in as many ways as we can. And we want Back in Motion to be an attractive place to work. Recruitment and retention is key to any successful organization, and a really good wellness program, I think, contributes to that. So these are the benefits that we felt we would get. We did have a few things in place, and I think some of these are critical ingredients to a successful wellness program. We had commitment at the top. That was really easy for me to achieve because guess what? I am at the top. So if I'm committed to it and my executive team is committed to it, that's essential. We had a few structures in place already. We had for many years a CARES committee, which is a group of people that initiate activities to give back to community and environmental initiatives. So we had that, and we had that because one day, I think our company had been around for maybe 6 or 7 years, and a staff member came to me and said, I think that we should do some things to contribute to the community, and I'd like to take care of that for the company. We probably had about 50 people at the time, and so I said, sure, sounds good, go ahead and take care of that. And so that was really the start of our CARES committee, again, very much a grassroots initiative. We had a health and safety program, essential to our organization because we're in healthcare and employment services. We go through accreditation processes and having that standard of service for not just our staff, but the people we serve is essential. So we had a health and safety program. We have high employee engagement, which is not everything, as we've learned this morning, but one important factor, I think, that really helps support wellness initiatives. And we have really solid HR standards, policies, and procedures. Again, really important. You need some basic structures in your organization before you turn your attention to something like a wellness program. I'm just inserting a few photos here so you can see the kinds of wellness activities that we engage in. This was our team for the Richmond Day of Caring, which was giving back to the community. I think we were planting vegetables or something like that. And this is we have soccer tournaments throughout the year where people from all of our different locations get on teams, and we have some friendly competition, and this is just a picture of our soccer team. What I discovered, in fact, just last week, was that a whole bunch of people that are part of Back in Motion's sort of internal soccer teams and competitions, that a group of these people now meet every Tuesday night to play soccer. So I thought that was just a great example of how a wellness program that is sponsored by work actually morphed into something that people do for their health, on their own time and as part of their own personal recreational activities. So that was cool. All right, so I mentioned that we had a few things. So, what was wrong? Why did I go, maybe we should do something more? As I mentioned earlier, we had insufficient structure, so I was very worried about the sustainability of what we had over time. It's also really hard to implement wellness activities when you're opening new locations if you've got no structure that supports that. We were about to embark on, and we did embark on, a whole bunch of new staff in our organization. So this sort of grassroots approach to wellness, probably was going to be put at risk. We didn't really track much. I knew lots of stuff was going on, but I had no way of actually really understanding what was sort of happening around wellness activities in our organization. No measurement of the outcomes of the program, because we didn't really have a program, and just no clear view about how well we were doing in the arena of employee wellness. So here's a little bit of how we conceptualized our wellness program. So first thing we did, of course, was let's just do a bit of research, do a bit of a literature review on what wellness programs are all about. And so, what we came up with was what we saw in the literature, not rocket science, that, wellness at work typically covers things related to prevention of illness and injuries. It focuses on physical wellness, focuses on psychological health and wellness, focuses on social, interpersonal kind of wellness, and lifestyle. And these are not mutually exclusive categories, but we needed some framework to kind of think about what we were doing or what we were about to do. So then we created sort of areas in our organization that would contribute to our Wellness at Work program. So we had our health and safety area. We had our CARES committees that I mentioned to you earlier. We had a social committee, and so that was another area. And then we had our corporate care. And I'll talk a little bit more about those in a moment. So this just sort of shows the overlap of, so all of these areas in our company contribute to our wellness program, but there's tons of overlap in the different areas of wellness, and they spill over and into each other, which is not a problem at all. It just simply is kind of the way it works. So, you know, our social committee might organize a soccer game, but playing soccer benefits our health. So now it's spilling over into something that maybe the Health and Safety Committee might get involved in. Or the Health and Safety Committee might organize something and the Social Committee says, oh, we're going to throw a barbecue after that. And of course, whenever you bring people together, there's a social element. So it all overlaps and it all kind of intermingles, and that's a really good thing. So please don't think these are all kind of concrete lines of responsibility or impact even. So I'm just going to go through these quickly. This is just to give you some concrete examples of what kinds of things the various areas of our wellness program are involved in. So our social committee, lots of stuff they do falls under physical health as well as social, and those are just some examples of the different activities. Our CARES committee focuses primarily on fundraising and volunteerism. And our staff commits to our organization commits to allowing our staff to volunteer for, currently it's set at 4 hours a year. They can volunteer anywhere they want on company time, and we pay them for that. So that's how we try to support encouraging volunteerism in our organization. And we do lots of other kinds of fundraising as well, and we have an area where we like to focus on the environment and being ecologically minded. This is a team of our staff that went and decorated windows for Christmas. The fellow in the front there, it turns out, had zero artistic ability, so it turned out that the rest of the team spent most of their time fixing his bear. I think he drew a Christmas bear. But they had a really great time. And this was both a social activity, as you can imagine. They all had a lot of fun doing it. You know, we are a company where people mainly sit at desks all day. And so, you know, just being up and moving around is actually better for them physically than what they do in their normal work time. Plus, it was a great charitable contribution. It was part of a whole fundraising activity for the Richmond community. And that's just us on Anti-Bullying Day, another example of initiative that we got involved in company-wide. And our Health and Safety Committee, the things in green, by the way, are just ideas we have that we haven't done. And so we really view our wellness program as in its infancy, and there's just lots more things that we can be doing. But those ideas don't come from me, they don't come from the executive, they don't come from the HR department, they actually come from our staff, and that's a really important part of our structure. So I'm just going to move on because I have like 5 minutes. Just more examples of what we do, so I think you kind of get the idea. This is what our human resources and management team do. I mean, HR, so many of our HR policies are meant to support wellness with flex time, lots of vacation, obviously our extended benefits plans that we have, all of these support wellness for our staff, and they happen at the HR level. Our managers are one of the big things that they do, which is part of, I think, psychological well-being, is they have lots of initiatives to demonstrate, you know, how to appreciate their staff and acknowledge the great work that staff do. And we have really kept this at the management level. We're not an organization that says, so, here's what we're going to do. We're going to have a program where every time someone does something really great in this company, we're going to give them a chocolate-coated apple, or whatever your wellness program. That's just one that I heard they give apples, right? We really feel it's important for our managers to demonstrate their appreciation for their staff, however they choose to do that. However, the way that it's consistent with their leadership style, the way that they're comfortable doing it. So they get a budget to do it, but they're free to do that in the way that is most meaningful to them and their staff. Okay, moving along. Oh, this was our team that participated in the underwear affair, which, for those of you who don't know, is for below-the-waist cancers. I'm just going to move on here. So this was the structure. So we had health safety coordinator, we had some site-specific cares committees, we had a few social committees. So we just imposed some structure on it by having a wellness coordinator at the HR level, adding a cares coordinator company-wide, a social coordinator company-wide, and we had to add some site-specific representatives. So the coordinators are really the point persons for cross-site initiatives, and that's just a list of their accountabilities. The coordinators were people that we posted the position. They were all internal applicants, and they do this as we gave them extra time in addition to the regular job that they do to participate in the wellness program and to coordinate their piece of it. So these are not full-time positions. They are, we just carved out some time for existing staff who were passionate about these different areas of wellness. So what did it cost us? It really does not cost a lot to have a wellness program. 5% top-up for the coordinators who were prepared to take on this additional responsibilities. Company time for the coordinators to support the initiatives in the order of 2 to 3 days per month on average. As I mentioned, company time, 4 hours per year for volunteering. Up to $500 for each coordinator to attend and present at wellness courses and conferences. We want them out there learning more and sharing what they know. And we had a per staff member funding for the wellness program, which is $220 per person per year. And those dollars go to, so the social committee gets a budget, the cares committee gets a budget, the health and safety committee gets a budget, our managers get a budget, and they choose to spend it however they would like to. And I think that's important, that we don't control the wellness program. And so the structure really looks like this. The people who are most involved in our wellness program, as it should be, are all our staff. They're the ones that are participating. And then we have our site representatives, so you can see the activities that they're involved in. They're the liaison with the coordinators in each of those areas. And we have, in our HR department, we have a coordinator that just kind of, again, it's just part of her job in that department to just kind of liaise with all the wellness coordinators and make sure things are running smoothly. And our managers, as I said, are accountable for the staff acknowledgement piece of things. And at the executive level, my level and Mike's level, we don't do a whole lot except say, yes, here's the money, how much money do you need? And so we have to make sure we can afford whatever those costs are. And we check in every now and then to see what's happening. And we support as many of the initiatives as we can. And I think that's really important. We are part of the organization, and we have a somewhat unusual executive structure. We don't all hang out in the same location. So I'm in our Richmond office. Our HR person might be in South Surrey, and somebody else, our CFO, is in another location. And we really like to have our executive team just embedded in our organization. Makes it a little harder for us to connect, but it really serves our organization quite strongly. So we participate, which is really great. So just the Cole's notes of how we did it. Well, we researched best practices and created a structure to support the program. We analyzed internally what was working well, what wasn't working, and what was missing. We created job descriptions and hired coordinators. Our coordinators sought volunteers at each location to be the site representatives for our various wellness committees. Those individuals established visions for each aspect of the wellness program. We established budgets, and we launched the program. And I have 1 minute left. Progress to date, CARES Committee, and this is since August where we fully launched the program. We have 23 different activities in support of community that we've done. Our staff have participated in 72 volunteer hours. We've raised over $5,000 for various charitable organizations in our community. And there's just some examples there. Our Health and Safety Committee created first aid, earthquake, and biohazard kits. We also had to do some biohazard handling training. We provided staff in some of our centers who required this, personal security pendants. We had all of our staff go through conflict resolution and violence de-escalation training. We did a round of first aid CPR training, and anyone who wanted a flu shot could have one. And we did that in-house too. We have the benefit of having lots of healthcare practitioners hanging around, so they donate their time and gave flu shots to our staff. Social, we've done lots of things. We had a staff barbecue, we had a Halloween party, we carved pumpkins, we had a staff holiday party, and at Valentine's Day I came to work and there was a whole little bag of treats on my desk. It wasn't just for me, everybody in the company apparently had this. Just other little tidbits about our organization, and I'm certainly not saying to you that because of our wellness program, that's the thing that accounts for some of these little stats on the bottom. And I'm curious to see as we continue to develop and improve our wellness program what our stats will look like in terms of staff turnover. So for 2012, we had 3 people leave our organization. I think that's a pretty good turnover rate for a company of over 200 people. And our benefit plan increased, I was just told yesterday, it's not 5%, it's 4%, and it was important that I correct that. Which was actually really modest increase given that we doubled our staff and all of the implications of doing that in one fell swoop. Key success factors. So these are the things that I think were important. The commitment from the executive team, our retention of the grassroots approach. Linked to that was empowering our staff to run the program. The leveraging of existing infrastructure. Why change up stuff that's already working? The notion of a wellness budget for us, that might seem an obvious thing, but really it was sort of a moment of, we had this eureka moment of, well, how about we set up, we just give a budget for each person in the organization, and that just sort of cleaned up the whole question of how are we going to fund this? It was launched really well by our coordinators in person. They went to every single site and talked about the wellness program and what it meant and what it was all about. We also have really effective ongoing communication around wellness initiatives. We have notice boards and lunchrooms that put up all kinds of stuff. We have lots of communications via emails. We have an intranet that's heavily used to communicate with our staff, and there's a section there called My Community, for example, that talks about all of the activities that the CARES committee is doing. And I think the other thing that was really effective was because we had some infrastructure that when we launched this, we were able to immediately have some quick wins. We were able to immediately make our wellness program visible by doing lots of great things really quickly. And that's so important too, because we know as organizations when you're implementing something new, if it fizzles out, and if that happens to you too many times, then nobody really ever believes you when you want to implement something really great, and they all just roll their eyes and go, yeah, that's going to be like that wellness program, it just kind of fizzled out. Nothing really happened. So we wanted to make sure that something really happened when we rolled this out. So So I think all of these things combined to make our program what I consider, given that it's in its infancy, I think so far it's been really successful. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what our staff do over the years to continue to improve it and make it even better. So thank you very much for listening to me.
Well, thank you, Debbie.